You're a seasoned professional.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Village of Wheeling Workshop Meeting for Monday, February 24th. Please rise for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Roll call.
Trustee Here?
Here.
Trustee Hines?
Here.
Trustee Brady?
Here.
Trustee Kruger?
Present.
Trustee Vogel?
Here.
Trustee Lang?
Here.
President Argyris?
Here. Thank you. Proclamations, Madam Clerk.
Congratulating Angus Corporation on its 75th anniversary. Angus Corporation was established in Chicago in 1938 and celebrated 75 years of business in 2013. In 2013, Angus Corporation also celebrated 30 years of business at their Yokohama, Japan establishment and 20 years of business at their Singapore establishment. Angus Corporation was an early pioneer in the use of diamonds for lapping, grinding, and polishing applications. Angus Corporation continues to be an industrial leader both worldwide and in the Village of Wheeling by serving a wide range of industries, including oil and gas, electronics, semiconductors, medical devices, aerospace, automotive, defense, ceramics, and mechanical valves and seals. The Village of Wheeling is fortunate to count Angus Corporation among the exemplary stakeholders in the Wheeling community. Dean Argyris, President of the Village of Wheeling, does hereby proclaim congratulations to Angus Corporation on the occasion of its 75th anniversary and calls upon the citizens of Wheeling to join him in recognizing its significant contribution to our community.
Gentlemen, Mr. Griffin, thank you. Many, many more years.
Thank you.
Want to see a few words?
Yes. First of all, we'd like to acknowledge and thank the Village of Wheeling, the President, the Planning Commission, and all of the services that are provided by Wheeling. We've been here 20 years now, and a little over 20 years actually, and it's been a tremendous community to work in. We export products worldwide, but we're always proud to bring people to Wheeling at our corporate headquarters on Hinch Road. The cooperation that we've had, our neighbour is the Public Works Department. We share a common driveway with them, and we've had nothing but excellent cooperation from everybody. And we sincerely thank the Village of Wheeling for making Wheeling a great place to have a business, and certainly looking after the interests of the residents. So again, thank you. We really appreciate it.
Appreciate it. Second proclamation.
Carol Trust Day, February 28, 2014. Carol Trust has served the Village of Wheeling, Illinois with enthusiasm and dedication for 27 years. Carol Trust began her service to the Village of Wheeling on July 7, 1986, serving in the capacity of billing clerk from 1986 to 2006, and as utility billing revenue collection coordinator from 2006 to 2014. Carol Trust was instrumental in implementing the real estate transfer certificate program, which has allowed the village to recover hundreds of thousands of dollars owed to it that would not otherwise have been recovered. Carol Trust has served the village residents and businesses with strength, warmth, integrity, and compassion. Carol Trust has been a friend, trusted peer, and confidant to her many co-workers over the years. Carol Trust retires from the position of Utility Billing Revenue Collection Coordinator with the Finance Department on February 28, 2014. Carol Trust's retirement is not the end of an era, but the beginning of a new one. Carol Trust will be missed as she has proven over the years to be a much valued member of the Village of Wheeling Finance Department family. Dean Argyris, President of the Village of Wheeling, does hereby proclaim February 28, 2014 as Carol Trust Day in the Village of Wheeling in recognition and appreciation of her many dedicated years of service to the community and Finance Department, and wishes her well in her future endeavors.
Thank you. Michael, you want to? Carol couldn't make it this evening. She was a little bit under the weather. But I want to give this to the Finance Director, Michael, so we'll make sure that she gets it. But how about a round of applause for Carol? If you're watching, kiddo, thank you. Take care of yourself. Thanks, Michael. Okay, citizens' concerns.
Members of the general public may address the board with concerns or comments regarding relevant issues. The person submitting a petition, concern, or other comment shall be allotted 5 minutes to present their points and should state their name and address for the record. Mr. Heber.
Thank you. My name is George Heber, reside at 237 Cindy Lane. I want to give a little talk tonight. First of all, I'd like to thank the Public Works Department, the Police Department, and the Fire Department for the fantastic job they've done this winter. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, they were outstanding. And this is coming from a citizen, so it's not from a board member. Then I would like to bring up March 12th, the Wheeling Village Blood Drive. I've sucked so much about the blood drives that I've run out of things to say. I'll be perfectly frank with you. I am a cancer survivor. I've had a dear friend pass away the last month, Ronnie Berglund, from lung cancer. Any type of cancer you have, though, takes transfusions. I don't care what it is. And I can't emphasize how much blood is needed. You cannot believe how many goes through a hospital. I have another dear friend of mine that's in the hospital now with cancer and a couple other complications. So if you can possibly get out, March 12th starts at 2 p.m. and runs until 7. If it wasn't for our staff here at the village, we would possibly get about 2/3 of the amount of blood that we get without them people. I mean, they have been fantastic donating blood. The staff, everybody. So we got to get the citizens aroused to get into this here worthwhile cause, because you cannot do without blood. It has to be. There's no substitute. They tried to make a substitute a few years back, and it was thumbs down. It never worked out. So anybody who comes, that's March 12th from 2 p.m. until 7 p.m. at this village hall right here. I thank you all.
George, real quick question. Last time you had the blood drive, how many units were taken in? Do you remember?
I think it was 40-something last
40
time,
40-something?
which for a village this size is nothing. My wife's little hometown, they usually go anywhere from 80 to 100. Of course, they bring them in from other towns too, so.
Right. Manager Svandelis, let's really try to do a push on this. Can we get some cooperation maybe from the Board of Health? Get a flyer, let's get something on the newsletter, the internet or our website, and maybe get something to us that we can put on our personal social pages as well to promote it.
Sure, we have a flyer. It is already on the website, so we can forward you that in PDF form so you can distribute it.
Great.
Sure.
Maybe everybody on the board can help with that.
And
Let's
if they
beat that
passed
number
out
of
any
40-something.
flyers?
Huh?
If they passed out any flyers?
He's getting some flyers printed
I
up
know
and
they
stuff
used to
like that.
put
Right, we'll put
Park
some out there.
District and
Right.
Public Works Building.
I don't know if there are printed flyers in the buildings, but I do know that it's on Channel 17 and that it's on the
That
website.
one I'd known of.
Okay, but we'll get something emailed to us.
Thank you.
I'll promote it. Thanks, George. Next.
Mr. Colander?
My name is Mark Oleander. I live on Jackson Drive, and I'm here to talk about the Park District wanting a liquor license, Heritage Park in particular. I say no. I don't have any answers to the questions I came up with, and we don't have any questions that can be answered as of yet. My thought is, where's the due diligence? Maybe that's going to be brought up tonight, but I saw this so far. I've raised my family here. I've been here more than 20 years. I have now grandchildren part of the Park District. I do not think it's a good idea. If there are special circumstances, that should be a special time thing. I just think it's not a good idea to be selling liquor in the parks that we don't allow liquor in anyway.
Thank you.
Yes, it's sir.
That's it? Mm-hmm. Item number 7. Madam Clerk.
A discussion regarding Wheeling Park District liquor license request.
Manager Svandelis.
Thank you. For discussion this evening is a request by the Wheeling Park District to discuss the idea of a liquor license for the sale of liquor at their facilities in Heritage Park, which is nearing completion. This evening is just a discussion and opportunity for the board to ask questions. There will be an opportunity. I believe Mr. Webby is going to come up and say a few words to introduce the topic. But again, nothing is up for a vote this evening. A point, though, to consider is that the request as of right now is for a Class C. Staff does recommend that if the board chooses to move further with this when it comes before you as an actionable item, that you consider a new class of liquor license, one that's more appropriate for this use, as we'll hear in more detail from Mr. Webby. So with that, I'd like to ask Matt if you wouldn't mind coming up and maybe introducing the topic and answering a few questions that you know are out there, and then the board will have an opportunity to ask you as well.
Okay, sure, I can do that. I've got a few things that hopefully can answer your questions ahead of time and kind of present you with some of the information to get started. I want to thank both President Argyris and the trustees for allowing us to be here tonight. My name is Matt Webby. I'm the Director of Park and Recreation Services for the Wheeling Park District. I'm here before you representing the Park District's application for a liquor license for Heritage Park. In 2014, the Wheeling Park District will open Heritage Park, and with it, the Heritage Park Sports Complex. This complex will be the premier sports facility in the northwest suburbs and will be a regional, statewide, and national draw for youth and adult baseball and softball leagues and tournaments. To achieve this elite status, the complex will focus on catering to both the local needs of the community and the needs of the user groups that will be traveling to come to Heritage Park. This goal will be achieved by tailoring the complex's products and services to meet the needs of the respective groups. And in order to do so, the complex has been specifically designed for flexibility. For those who may not be familiar, the Heritage Park Sports Complex features 4 field turf synthetic baseball and softball fields arranged in a wagon wheel design. These fields have been designed to meet the needs of all levels of sports, from youth t-ball, high school baseball and softball, and adult baseball, softball, both for tournaments and leagues. The Heritage Park Sports Complex will feature a full-service concession stand in the center of the wagon wheel that will provide both prepackaged food and snacks along with hot items prepared on site. Concession stand menu will be typical, such as soda, water, Gatorade, hot dogs, pizza, chips, coffee, ice cream, etc. In addition to these standard items, there will also be opportunities for expanded food sales, such as grilled burgers and brats and hot dogs. However, this will mostly be done during tournaments and special events. One key component to the success of the Heritage Park Sports Complex and the park will be the ability to sell alcoholic beverages when appropriate during these events and activities. This park was designed to draw players and guests from all over the state and the Midwest. And therefore, our competition for these players are not only the parks across town, but across the Midwest. We plan on bringing teams and players here from all over to Wheeling. We receive daily inquiries from leagues, managers, and tournament reps about the field's availability, and we are working to meet their needs. We want to draw them to Wheeling. We want them to spend their tournament dollars in Wheeling restaurants, and in Wheeling hotels. We want the players who come to Wheeling to be repeat guests who visit multiple times per year and who come back year after year. Everyone who calls us asks the same things. What are the fields like? What are the field conditions? Can you accommodate our field requirements and sizes? Do you have concessions? And are there other things for family members to do, whether they be siblings or spouses, during games at Heritage Park? Obviously, with the Aquatic Center, we can say yes. And their final question often is, will you permit alcohol sales during events and activities? Outside of that final question, we can answer yes to all of those. The final question is one of importance, and believe it or not, teams are waiting to verify before they will commit to come to Wheeling. Having a license would not be something new for the Park District. We already have a license for Chevy Chase Country Club and operate it with it daily at our golf course and with our banquet operations. We have the trained staff. We currently have 4 TIPS instructors on staff. We've sold alcohol at previous tournaments and games and have full confidence in our ability to do so in the future. We have the backing and support of our risk management agency, and if granted this ability, the Park Districts we'll have standard operational procedures which will be followed for the safe sale and distribution. Specific operational plans will also be in place for each event, as the details for each of these events can be vary and have specifics. As you know, the Wheeling Park District ordinance allow for the sale of consumption of alcohol on Park District property, as we have used the park at Heritage for these special events. In closing, we all know that Heritage Park means a great deal to this community. The Park District is grateful for the partnership we have with the Village of Wheeling and with MWRD that made this park a reality. And we look forward to celebrating its opening later this year. So on behalf of the Park District, I thank you for your time, and I can try to answer any questions you may have now. Thank you.
Trustee Vogel?
Yes, thank you. Just a couple. You'd given us the procedure write-up, which is very thorough, very general, but very thorough. But in your talk just now, you talked about a license or the ability to sell for special events, but you're asking for a liquor license for 365 days a year.
Correct.
Okay, so do you plan on selling out of that facility for the entire season or only during special events?
Right. Fair question. We designed that facility to be flexible to meet the needs depending on whether that be Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday for an adult softball league or a tournament on the weekend. We're looking for the license so that we would have the discretion to do so when it's necessary, but realize that it's not going to be sold every single day at the facility. It's going to be done when it's appropriate based on the type of activities that are going on at the complex.
Okay. Do you expect the sales to be enclosed? Or can I go to the facility and buy a beer and take it over to the aquatic center?
You will not be able to take the alcohol into the aquatic center, and we will have signs posting that alcohol cannot leave the premises. Alcohol would be distributed and sold from the concession stand in the center of the wagon wheel, so the alcohol itself prior to sale would be fully contained.
Would be contained. Okay, thank you. A couple other questions also. And maybe this is more long-term planning on your part, maybe you haven't thought about it, but what type of containers? I mean, are you going to if I go up there and order a beer, are you going to hand me a can of beer, or are you going to hand me a glass, or? We're
looking at the plastic bottles to start. However, the reason we're starting with that, or our proposal is to start with that, is that we need to understand how the business practice is going to work within the operation. It may come to the point where it's more cost-effective, and we can justify the capital outlay to run lines throughout the facility, and actually have taps and kegs in there if that works better. Okay. So we're going to start with the bottles, as that's the least amount of capital outlay.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Trustee Lang?
Thank you. And Matt, some of the biggest concerns would probably be where children are mixed into this situation. So you have, tell me if it's a scenario or not, if you'll have a tournament from downstate, people coming in where you're going to serve alcohol, and then across field you're going to have another high school or younger playing Little League or something like that at another field. Would those two ever mix? Would it ever be a situation like that?
There may be the potential where there is an activity going on where alcohol sales are being conducted, and there may be a game going on or an activity going on that have youth at it or participating in it. It's important to note that alcohol would never be allowed out onto a field within a dugout or amongst any of the participants in the game and activity while they're out on the field to do so. But it is an open park, and even if there weren't other activities going on, people may be walking through the park at different times and have children in the open space playing in the grass. So I can't say that there's not going to be opportunities out there where children are going to be in the presence of alcohol, but we look at this as a very similar situation that we already do at Chevy Chase Country Club. We have activities and events going on. We have golfers out on the golf course. We also host high school golf tournaments out there. So we see it as a very similar type of operation from that regard.
And then just for clarification, someone can buy a beer at the concession stand and go into the stands and watch the game?
Correct.
Okay,
Correct.
so it's
And-
not contained right in that area?
No, and I might have misspoke. When I say it's contained, we're not going to have coolers sitting out in open air. They will be contained within the concession stand, but you will be served your beer or the bottle through a window, but then you are not restricted to a beer garden, as some places have done. You will be able to take it and sit in a bleacher to watch a game. We've done that based on some feedback we've received from other participants or other types of tournaments and facilities that have done that. When confined to a beer garden, and I've had experience with this with the operations at a previous employer, you often run into the situation where you got 15 minutes in between a game. Everybody runs into the garden, tries to consume the alcohol right then and there, and then run back out. And it's not conducive to the best environment. We plan on treating the adults like they're adults.
Well, it sounds like it's pretty well planned out right now, so thank you for answering my questions.
Thank you.
Trustee Hein?
Thank you. How big of an area are you actually going to be using when you dispense this liquor from your facility? How far can they go with that can of beer, that bottle of beer? How far is the furthest field away from there?
Well, we would not restrict it to within a perimeter fence of the actual fields. So if it cannot leave the park.
And then how are you going to have the security where these folks that are purchasing the beer, wine, whatever, not giving it to somebody that does not have proper identification or not old enough?
We have all the staff who would be involved with that, TIPS trained, so that they will be trained specifically how to ID an individual, to look for the signs of anyone trying to pass off a fake ID. We will also have field supervisors at all of the activities and events who will be monitoring the crowds and monitoring and walking around as well. So we will have different also procedures in place depending on the type of activity that's going on, which can include up to everything from ID and wristbands. But that's where we get into the specific activities that are going on may dictate a specific type of action plan based on that. But we will have the staff who are trained to ID this type of stuff and monitor it.
How big of a group can you actually handle over there as far as a multiple league coming in with a round-robin baseball games and softball games and everything? How many teams can you provide for over there?
Well,
That's quite a complex you guys built over there.
One of the things, this speaks to the flexibility of the complex, is that it was specifically designed so that we can accommodate any type of level, regardless of where it be, with a changeover time of maybe 5 minutes. And that's why the complex was designed that way, is so that we can accommodate these. So if we can start games at 8 o'clock and we can go all the way till 9 o'clock, you can play a game every hour on the hour, 4 fields a day, or 4 fields at a time. My math's not great, but we can have a lot going in there. Now, some of the tournaments that we have been talking to already, they're 3- and 4-day potential tournaments where teams will travel in on a Thursday, play Thursday night games, play Friday, play Saturday, and then the championship games on Sunday. So we're really looking at it as this complex is part of a destination hub. When you take into effect, you're going to be bringing these teams to this complex, and we've got an aquatic center where if dad's playing in the tournament, he can, his kids can spend the day with mom at the aquatic center. And then you know what we're going to do? On one of the Friday nights, we're going to put a movie up in the band shell, and we're going to play movies for the kids so that they can do that, and they can spend their time at the complex. So that's when we look at this as the big picture of what Heritage Park can become. This is going to be a destination facility that the community is going to get to use, but we are also going to be able to draw from outside the area.
Thank you. That's all I have for now. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Kruger?
Hi, Matt.
Hello.
You mentioned that teams are waiting.
Yes.
And then you did mention feedback. I'd be interested to hear what other, what marketing have you done to determine the need for?
Well, one of the things that we did aggressively is we sought out some of the key players who work with these league tournaments and these national associations. And we went directly to their league directors, their tournament directors. Recently, the Park District hired on a new athletic staff who have a strong background in this. Actually, the individual we brought in from the Arlington Heights Park District, who operated Malus Park and has that experience. Malus Park, for those that you don't know, up until March 22nd, when we open our complex, was the premier facility. We are going to be the premier facility, and we sought out the tournament directors, and we went to them directly because they're the ones who control the leagues. They're the ones who control where their tournaments go, and we actually are in a quote-unquote bid process to attract their national tournaments. We're going to get the such and such age group 16-inch tournament. We're going to be their national. We're going to be the regional host site. That's how we've done it. It's not as we don't necessarily put up flyers around town. That's not how national teams are going to draw. That's how we're getting our in-house leagues that will fill our calendars Monday through Friday. That's how we get the youth teams playing here. That's the local component. But when you're talking about these tournaments that are going to be traveling here, you go to the league directors directly, and they talk about it, and they want to come out. We've already had leagues come out in the middle of January to walk the fields, to actually take a look at that, and so that they understood. I mean, they ask us, are you going to allow us to have metal spikes? They want to know the details, because what they're doing is they're putting their name and saying, this is the place we're going to bring it, and they'll bring 16 or 20 teams with them to play in a tournament. I mean, that's how we've done the marketing for that.
Great, thanks. I have another question, and forgive me for not being familiar with all the things that'll be offered once you guys open, but is this just for baseball, softball, or soccer, football, all year round?
That's a great question, because when you look out at the complex, you see 4 fields, and it looks like a softball, baseball complex. Mm-hmm. But if you look closer, we've also put in a full-size football, soccer field, very similar to what they have at the Wheeling High School, in the outfield of one of the fields, so we can accommodate a full team. Furthermore, the Park District has special equipment that we can chalk and put down temporary soccer fields, lacrosse fields, or anything along the turf, so that we can host tournaments out there in addition to the green grass open space we have just outside the park. So when you look at it, it looks like there's a dirt infield because we colored the turf that way, but it's all flat. So as long as the players don't mind that, hey, you're going to be playing soccer and part of it's going to look brown, part of it's going to look green, but it plays the same, we can customize field sides out there for all levels. Our in-house youth soccer, they're going to play out there. And the great thing about these field turf fields is we don't get rainouts. We don't flood. We don't wash away the dirt infields. The rain stops. The lightning goes away. We're playing in 5 minutes. That is something that is appealing to these tournaments, and why we're becoming a destination is because they can sit there and say, I'm going to invest my dollars, and I'm going to come to Wheeling because you know what? Barring lightning right when our game is going on, I'm guaranteed we're playing out there. And that's why when we say about the flexibility, that's why it was designed that way, so that we could accommodate.
And alcohol would be provided no matter what games are happening there?
I wouldn't say no matter what games are happening. It's not going to always be wide open, come by. But if the type of event dictates and staff or the district staff feels that, you know what, this would be a benefit to it, then we would implement it at that time. But I can tell you also, if it's a random Thursday night in the fall and we have one makeup game going on out there, it may not be in the best interest. We're not going to be doing alcohol sales potentially there. It's not an open, and if there's not activities going on, it's not like it would be a freestanding bar.
Okay, understood. Thank you.
Trustee here.
Thank you. Most of the questions that I had were already asked and answered, but I do have a few. You said that there's leagues out there waiting for Wheeling to get this liquor license. How many?
I can't speak knowledgeably to that. I can get you some information. It's also teams, specifically teams, because softball teams that may be coming for a Thursday night league, they may be sitting there, and you have to remember, Wheeling didn't have this. So any of the new teams that we're having come to Wheeling, we're pulling them from someplace else. So they're sitting there thinking, okay, I've got it pretty good where I'm at. I know the complex, I know the facility. All my players were creatures of habit. We know to drive. Every morning, we're going to Mount Prospect on Thursday nights. In order for me to go to Wheeling, I need to know that's something different. We take the phone calls, and I would say it's several times a week a team will call, say, are you guys really going to have alcohol sales over there? Is that going to be something that I can tell my guys? Because if I tell them that and we're coming there, we want to do it. So to put a specific number on that, I can't do that right now, but I can tell you it's happening more than, it's happening very frequently.
Now, you said Destination Wheeling seems to be the focal point with the new facility. Where are there other similar facilities like this one around the nation?
Well, there are similar facilities. Downstate, there's one, and the name escapes me, I apologize.
Sells alcohol.
Oh, that sells alcohol. I can tell you there have been in Crystal Lake, they allow alcohol sales there for events. I provided a list to Martin of other park district specific.
Oh, we got that one.
Okay, those are the ones that we knew off the top of our head, and through our research have done something similar.
Something similar, because I read all those.
Okay.
So, something similar.
Right.
Okay. At this point, I'm done, but thanks.
Thank you.
Trustee Brady?
Thank you. It's an interesting concept, and one of the questions I was going to start out with was what Trustee here was saying. You mean to tell me that when these teams call, the criteria is if you don't serve alcohol, we're not coming?
It has been brought up. It's not the only criteria, but word got around that we were applying for this, and this was part of our business model for this complex, and that draws people. That's a question. They want to know, is this something that we can go ahead and, the guys can go there, or the teams can go there on a Thursday or Friday night, or on the weekend? Will this be something that's available to them?
I read through your list of communities that the Park District allows alcohol, and to be quite honest with you, most of them are on the golf course. I didn't read any of them in there that allows it in a general park facility during any other functions, right, unless it's a picnic or something specific.
Right. The information we were asked to provide, were other park districts that have alcohol sales at their sports complex. Can you provide us with their village or city's ordinances? And so we provided the names and the actual ordinances that came from, for example, I think the city of Crystal Lake, that was obtained by village staff.
I think it's a great idea, but my only concern is control. How many acres do you have there?
Heritage Park is just under 100 acres.
You know how much security you're going to need at any one time when there's a tournament going on? Even if it's just one tournament, the kids are going to be hanging around there. And if you're going to have an adult tournament, and then on the other diamond you're going to have a little league tournament, parents are going to be there. They're going to want to go over and buy beer. It's going to be so mixed up. And how would you control an adult going over, or let's say somebody's older cousin goes and buys a beer or a drink and passes it off to an underage kid? If they're not contained in a specific area. When we have some events in the park there, we always make sure there's a fenced-in area. It's the only place you can drink. I know it's a problem here because people are coming to watch the games. They don't want to sit off the side in a cage drinking while the ball game's going on. I think you have to do is think about that, and we're probably going to have to come back and talk about this some more. But I think you got to get a little bit more specific, taking the size of that park. If you're going to have a big concert in your band shell, and you want to serve alcohol, so you have to walk all the way around the lake and walk all the way back with their drink. A lot can happen in that half a block or a block, whatever it is, Those are the types of things I'd like to see some specific control under. Other than that, I probably don't have much problem with this here. Let me just check. My iPad went off on me here. Hang on a minute. Yeah. The limits of maybe one person, one drink at a time. Those are the things that it works out pretty good. And I think you should have, besides your normal security, I think you should have some uniformed police there too, to make sure that these people understand that this is being watched. no glass containers, obviously, there's some of the other things that mentioned. And the hours of operation, that's good. I'm glad to hear it's just for special events and not just a daily thing that's going to be open. But then again, there's probably going to have to be some kind of limits on that too, because certainly some of these tournaments go late at night, and you're right there, in the middle of a residential area, and it can get quite noisy, especially if alcohol is being served.
Right. And there are special controls that tournaments do put in that once you get to certain rounds in the tournament, the round robin, everybody's friends, but when you start now getting competitive into the single elimination, there are different tournaments that have instituted once you get to the Final Four, alcohol sales have been cut off. We've seen other things like that, and that's where we talk about the specific action plans for the specific events depending on what's going on. And it's one of the things that I agree fully that staffing will be important. That's why we have invested in having actual TIPS instructors on staff who've gone through the training. They're not just TIPS certified, they're actually instructors who can teach the course, so that we can teach the staff that we need to, but that also we control that where it's fluid, where we know if we need to cut off alcohol sales, we can do so at the drop of the hat. They're cut off, we shut it down, and it's contained within that.
What you gave us tonight is covering all aspects of controlling alcohol consumption. Unfortunately, this is basically leaning towards an enclosed area like a building or auditorium or something like that, or a banquet hall. You got to consider the fact that you've got 100 acres here. If you're going to allow people with alcohol to roam on that 100 acres unsupervised, it probably would be, because you can't certainly have every square inch of that thing under surveillance. Those are the types of things I'd like to see some positive control on, and what the people do after they buy that alcohol. It's easy enough to drink it, but
right.
I don't want, it's nice because, people are out having fun. A nice day, a hot summer day, I'll play that. I can open my windows in the summertime and listen to softball games going on at night. It doesn't bother me. People are out having fun. And people having fun here, it'd be nice to have a beer. I used to enjoy one, too, when we played softball. But,
One?
You have to worry about where we were playing, that's okay. But, I don't know how you can do it, but why don't you guys take some thought on that there? Provide some security, and if you can, I would suggest that you limit an area around the ball fields, not that they can just wander anywhere on your property, because you'd certainly lose control if that were to happen. That's about it.
Thanks. Matt, thanks for coming tonight.
No
I just got a couple of quick questions. The impact of liquor sales regarding other events at the park, the concert, the movie in the park, how's that going to impact that at all? I mean, are you going to be selling to individuals that come to a concert too, or?
There's that potential for that. One of the things, now I haven't been personally to Ravinia, but people speak highly of it, where you can put on a concert in a venue and you can have people who come after work, put out picnic blankets, bring dinner, and might want to, have a drink while they do so. That is in the potential of the model of what we're looking toward at that band shell on the other side. That band shell was created in order to accommodate larger type groups. So we look at that as a potential amenity. Again, it's all done within control and within the guides of our risk management agency, who provides guidance and coverage for us in order to do so.
Will you allow other individuals to bring liquor in, like a cooler or anything like that?
No, that's like not in the plans. Yeah, no, that's not the plans. No,
you know what? We did it July 3rd, and we had the 3rd of July under the stars, and people brought coolers in with wine or whatever, and they did a little Ravinia thing in front of the, and it was well taken. We didn't have a problem, and people were very orderly and respectful. But you know what? We policed it too. And we had to. You mentioned about Mellis Park, and so these are some of the tournament teams that are trying to come here. They have something different than Mellis Park or Buffalo Grove.
Right.
So because they don't have liquor.
They don't. Correct.
Strict rules regarding your fields?
I'm sorry?
Are you going to have strict rules regarding your fields, what you can
Yes.
consume, what you can't consume?
Correct, yes, and where it can be, we'll have designated areas. You can't take it into a dugout, you can't take it out onto the field.
Well, they're at a point now, they tell you can't have sunflower seeds, you can't chew gum.
Right.
You can't have chewing tobacco, you can't smoke unless you're in the parking lot. I mean, they're strict on those new ball diamonds of theirs.
Right, and in some cases, they have to be, because of the capital investment that is to put in those fields and to make sure
Drainage and
that
all
they stay.
stuff, Sure.
Yeah,
So you're going to follow suit with.
yes, we have recommendations from Field Turf on what's to be allowed on there, whether it be chewing gum, seeds, and such like
Sure.
that.
Okay, good. Well, what I like to do is have staff work with you guys a little bit. Let's sit down and get the class straightened out, because that Class M is the wrong class, in my opinion, because it gives us the opportunity.
Class C, right.
The C, I'm sorry. But let's get that straightened out and maybe work with our staff, and so you guys can come back. And I thank you for having the opportunity here to talk to you, and you did a nice
Absolutely.
job answering a lot of questions, but you can understand our concerns too. It's a
Absolutely.
100-acre park.
Right.
And I want to see it do well. I'd love to see it as a destination place. I know traffic's going to be an issue,
Yeah, well,
and that's what's good about partnerships, because you're going to need us too.
yep, absolutely.
So, anything else,
If I can
John?
add one thing, just so the public knows, since we're going to do our July 3rd thing again this year, we did not allow alcohol at our Evening Under the Stars, and we won't this year. So please don't bring alcohol to our Evening Under the
Why
Stars.
did we not allow it? Everybody had it. We'll talk about that later. That'll come from the events committee. I don't know. You must have been at another park. Okay.
All right,
Thanks, Matt.
thank you.
Where did that go? Okay. Number 8.
Discussion regarding Jack London School pedestrian overpass.
Mr. Janik.
Good evening. Extremely happy to be here to discuss the Jack London pedestrian overpass. As you all know, I think you've read the history on this project and you've seen it evolve. Well, what I'm here tonight to talk about is future or hopefully near future improvements, near future solutions to the situation over at the overpass. It's not crazy and it's not falling apart, but this project was started in 2003, and at that time the village approved, the board approved improvements to the bridge, which included repairs to the concrete, repairs to the railing, repairs to numerous elements of the bridge. There was cracking going on. The railings weren't in good shape. This is what it looked like at the time. And what I want to talk about tonight is the improvements that were made to the abutments, the two structural areas on either side of the roadway. At that time, I believe these were plain concrete. And what happened was the bridge was repaired. A lot of improvements were done for a good amount of money, and stone was placed on the abutments. What's happened since then is that due to the environmental conditions, environmental issues relative to the roadway, splashing water, salt, that sort of thing, the mortar and the connection of the stone to the abutments is not doing very well. And it's time has come to make a decision as to what we're going to do about repairing the stone that's on the abutments. What you were provided with today in the packet were some suggestions, an outline by myself, as well as some suggestions that we've done some research on, talking to various consultants about what we can do to repair the stone. There's basically three things we can, well, to me, there's basically three things we can do. Two for the most part, but three. We can take the stone off that's in disrepair, and we can clean the concrete underneath, do a better job with different mortar, most likely. and replace the stone, just the way it looks today. Another thing we can do is take the stone off, at least on the stone that's facing the roadway, and replace it with panels, basically concrete panels. I think you've seen concrete panels on buildings, on other structures. You can put, or you can have images put on these panels. But the panels themselves will have to be attached similar to the stone. There'll be a mortar connection to it. There'll be seams, not as many, which will reduce some of the future deterioration of the mortar and issues with water and issues with environmental situations. But we can put panels up as well. The third thing we can do, which is a suggestion by staff, is we can take the stone off the face of the abutment, the face that facing the roadway itself, and probably 2 feet around the corners, and take the stone off, and then clean the concrete and paint the concrete some color that would blend in with the stone. In our opinion, that would reduce the risk associated with mortar, the risk associated with attaching the stone to the abutment. It wouldn't look as good as the stone, obviously, but given the distance of the abutment to the roadway, which is extremely close, I think in this situation, doing that would lower the risk to the village cost-wise in the future. And I have some slides here that show some of the issues with the stone, and I have some other slides that show what these panels possibly could look like. Now, these photoshopped images don't show what my suggestion is about bringing the panels or the concrete around the corners. I think that's an important point because we want to try to reduce the risk, if we go that way, reduce the risk in the future to the stone and the mortar. So I think that's not just the face itself to the road, but coming around the corner would be important as well to sort of seal and create a situation where the water would have, or the environmental issues relative to Dundee Road would have as little ability as possible to deteriorate the final product. So that's what I'm here for.
Thanks, Mr. President.
Trustee here.
You know, Mark, thank you very much for bringing this back to our attention again. I sat up here a while ago. It's deja vu all over again, and it's not your fault. I understand that, and we're just flooding this bridge with countless amount of dollars, and this one is probably going to be well over $200,000 for repairs in this as well. I understand it. I get it. I don't know how accurate, or if anybody can give an accurate account of how many pedestrians actually use that bridge. You know offhand today?
I do not know. I do not know. Before continuing with your questions, though, just one item. When you say how much this is going to cost, it varies from, say, $60,000 to probably $125,000, depending on which one you want to do right now. That's not in $200,000 or $300,000 at this moment.
Well, we have in here in our thing, it says this is reported between $118,000 to $205,000.
It's an estimate. We have talked to some contractors. They've given us an indication that it would, even if we took the stone down, replaced the stone, or did the most expensive one, it would. I don't know. We haven't bid it out, but I'm thinking it's 150 to 175 maximum. But that's just.
My point is, we're going to be readdressing this forever. And I know we talked about it before, about removing the bridge and making a crosswalk or signalization there. Maybe we should go back and look at that again. We do have crossing guards there. Maybe approach the school and say how, maybe partner up with us on this, because it's becoming quite an expensive proposition for one or two kids to use a bridge when you could have a crossing guard with the proper signage to get them across the street, maybe with signalization, I don't know.
Yeah, I can address that a little bit and just say that if the bridge came down, we would have to signalize that intersection. So a crosswalk wouldn't work, but that is an option that we can at least explore to see what the cost would be, what the impact would be, what the thought is on removing the bridge. It was a decision in 2003 when we did the major infrastructure repair to move forward with repairing the bridge versus tearing it down and putting up an intersection, but that was discussed at the board level at the time. However, if you'd like to revisit it, we can at least get numbers so that you can compare the cost of, like you said, the continual maintenance, which is continuing to escalate every year, versus just taking it down and putting up a signalized intersection.
And I understand that, but they were able to do it down by Buffalo Grove High School as well. So how were they able to do it? Do they have what they call the traffic count, the numbers? I mean, you've got numerous cars coming out of London on a daily basis. I'm surprised with this bridge there that there haven't been more accidents with how some of those people come out of that complex. But maybe partner up or try to partner up with the school district and say, hey, this is going to benefit you. Let's work together to try to get this done the right way.
We can definitely get a cost for it. I will tell you, IDOT won't allow both. So that addresses your question about how Buffalo Grove is able to do it and the traffic counts. IDOT won't allow both the pedestrian overpass and a signalized intersection.
And we take the bridge down.
We can get a cost for that.
Right. Thanks.
Trustee Kruger?
I just want to be clear that it's only the parts of the abutment that faces Dundee Road that's being repaired.
That's our suggestion. Now, of course, we could take all the stone off, completely remove that risk and that, basically back to where it was. But our suggestion right now is if we are going to repair the stone, and I'm assuming, my assumption was when we looked into this, that we were going to keep the bridge. Our suggestion is to take it off the face, just facing the roadway itself. That's correct.
Where the horrible elements are hitting it. So it's likely that can I assume it's not as bad on the other side of?
That's correct.
Abutment?
It's not as bad once you get away from the roadway a little bit.
Thanks.
Trustee Brady?
Thank you. That bridge probably stood there for 30 or 40 years since it was built until the first time we had the service. It was in 03. Held up pretty good originally, but it seems like since then, this past 10 years, this will be the third repair on it. And the repairs don't seem to last as long as the engineers promised us they would, not even close to it. And I just can't see throwing more money into there on just this brick for now. What about the concrete stairs, Mark? If I'm not mistaken, I see signs of cracks along the forming, and once that starts, the stairs are going to be gone again. Now, if we lose the stairs, we take it down.
I believe the stairs are in relatively good shape. I mean, I've been on the bridge relatively recently, within probably 2.5 months ago. I don't think that the stairs were repaired. There were cracks in them. Yeah. I think that the rest of the structure itself is in relatively good shape.
Because I hate to keep putting money into it, and it is precarious with the car splashing the salt, and we're spreading salt on the ramp and down the stairs, constantly during the summer. It can't help but deteriorate. The brick and the mortar, it looks nice. It looked nice originally, but to be honest with you, I don't think it's going to hold up. I don't think it's going to hold up because it's too susceptible to hairline cracks letting that salt in, and that's the end of the mortar. And the brick eventually. And if you take the brick down and just go ahead and clean up the concrete and paint it, how long is that going to last? Unless we can now the state can take an overpass on the any one of their roadways and patch it, and it'll last for another 20 or 30 years. I don't know if we can do that here or not. It just doesn't seem to hold up anymore. I'm wondering if the life of this thing is gone.
No, I think I don't think the life of the structure is gone, but you're right. If we paint it if we go down to the concrete and paint it, there's no question we'll be doing maintenance on it. We'll be repainting it. We'll be just like with any other structure that's open to the elements. Yeah. We'll take the paint off. We'll be repainting it, which is not that expensive, obviously, but there's always going to be some element of maintenance on the structure.
Well, true, but, repairing a masonry wall like this here versus repairing a chipped corner or a little spalled surface and repainting it that is a lot cheaper than what we're looking at now. And maybe that's what we should have did back in '03. And then again, you look at the crosswalk. We can't get crosswalks wherever we need them by the state. The state won't give us any crosswalks. We need crosswalks in about 3 other places in town here, and nobody can get it done. Now, how are we going to get one there? How are we going to get one there?
The state has already approved an intersection there. It's not a crosswalk, it's a signalized intersection.
Do we have to have a full signal, or could it be like a Park Ridge on Northwest Highway by the school there? They have a manual light, red light, that goes on, stops the traffic. The guy at the crossing guard leaves the kids across, and it turns it off. Very simple.
Have to, I don't know, but from the reports that were provided in 2003 and the decision that was made, IDOT has approved a signalized intersection. Now, whether they could downgrade that to just the push button, that I don't know, but it's not a crosswalk, it is a signalized intersection.
And what does the average signalized intersection cost us?
I can tell you that without property acquisition, the intersection right here at Community Boulevard has a price tag of at least $4 million.
It's a dilemma. It's a dilemma. And how are you going to get them kids if we do nothing? Take it down and make it go to Schoenbeck and cross. It'll never happen. They'll be jaywalking all day long.
Well, I don't think that's an option. I think we're required to have one or the other. Either the bridge stays or a light goes in.
Is that written someplace? There's other schools that don't have crosswalks.
I believe it's because of the state highway.
It's possible things might have changed since 2003, but I haven't seen the document that says that, but I believe that that's true. But if the will of the board is for us to go back and take a look at and see what that situation is now, we can go back and talk to IDOT or have our traffic engineers do the same thing.
Well, certainly the steel structure is in good shape. If you think, maybe you had to just take a good close look at the stairs. If you think there's some life left in them, maybe the thing is just take this masonry down, like you said, and take it down. However, take it all down if need be, and let's give it a good patching with the concrete and a good epoxy paint. Probably hold up better than this did. Or just get rid of it. That's it.
Thanks. Trustee Vogel.
You just threw me through a loop. $4 million, but we're rerouting the traffic out here, aren't we?
Pardon?
$4 million it's going to cost to put signals up?
Here at this intersection, yes.
Yeah, but up there, I mean, you've already got the...
That's my only reference is this intersection. I would certainly hope that while there is still some improvement that needs to be done on both the north and south side of Dundee Road by Jack London, I would hope that it wouldn't be that much money, but just to have a real reference, the Community Boulevard intersection is already crossed the $4 million threshold without property.
I'd like to see what it costs, because the roadways are lined up with cedar now, with the exit, and the way the traffic comes out of the school several times a day, I mean, they're backed up, and people trying to make a left-hand turn, or some of them shooting straight across to get into the subdivision across the street, it's an accident waiting to happen. And to continue putting money in the bridge, I think now's the opportune time to take a look at putting signalization in for everybody's sake. So I'd like to see that cost estimate for that, and to see if 21 would partner with us, because they'll benefit from it greatly also in the long run.
Okay. Trustee Hein?
This bridge is, it's really outdated. This type of a configuration just does not work. You got stairs going up there where it should be ramped, and without stairs. You have a serious situation with young folks. You have an ice situation in the wintertime. It's really not conducive to have this type of a bridge in that particular area, only because of the restraints on construction and putting the proper bridge up there without the staircases and having it ramped all the way up and walking up. It's not handicap accessible. because of that. There's a lot of new configurations that can be done today with signalization, and I think we should be looking at that more than repairing this bridge, because all we're doing is putting good money after bad. I, for one, would like to see some more investigations on signalization, and a traffic study done over there with proper turning radiuses and so on and so forth, and improvements so that we can make it more accessible for the kids to get across safely. Having a bridge there doesn't mean it's safe, because they got to get up that bridge. So let's look into it.
Thank you. Trustee Lang?
Thank you. I agree with most of my fellow board members that this is a real money pit, and it has been for the last several years. I always take a look and see how many people are using that bridge, and I don't really see a lot of use on it at all. I'd like to look at signalization in front of St. Edna on Arlington Heights Road. There's a pedestrian-only signal. It's just the button, and the light turns red, and pedestrians can cross. And something like that, maybe that's possible over there as well. I know that's an intersection of exiting Jack London and across the street is pretty crazy at when school is out and in the morning. But you know, if we can avoid a full signal there, fine, and do just that push button signal for pedestrians only, or the full intersection if that's what we need. It would be a good thing to partner with 21 on this, because it's going to benefit them as well. And I think that's what we should do. Keep repairing this bridge. Let's get a few more years out of it. You know, it's still going to cost us a lot of money. And I remember, I don't have the exact figure, but I remember from the last time that even the cost of tearing this thing down was tremendous, $300,000 or more. You know, we could probably sell the actual bridge portion of it at that point to someone else. But, you know, I think we should look at taking this thing down finally and doing something else that's more meaningful there. Thank you.
Thanks.
President,
Trustee
may I
Murray?
ask a question?
Sure.
Mr. Bogle brought up a very good point about Cedar lining up with the 21's
Driveway.
the school there. Is that on the entrance or the, you West Siders, help me out. Is that on the entrance or the exit?
The east side.
The east side is the exit.
Yeah, east side,
East side is the exit. Is that where, does that line up with Cedar there?
yes.
That's
Perfect.
a heck of an idea, really.
Yeah.
You know, it'll probably solve it forever.
Perfect.
Bridge to-
You know, my first house in Wheeling was at Cedar and Wilshire. And when my kids were young and watching the older kids walk to school, that bridge was used, and it was a concern. Today, with the redistricting and everything, you're seeing more kids being bused than walked. I see it all the time. I live in that area. It's not being used like it used to. That bridge is not being used like, you don't see the walking traffic like you used to. I think we have an opportune time here. We talk about streetscape and doing things on the west end of town, west of 83, with street lights. The road there is a hazard by itself. The concrete chunks of potholes around there today, and even in the summer, is a joke. I mean, we got some opportune time to do something here, and let's plan this thing the right way. I like to see the signalization. I was for the signalization. I like to see the agreement when that bridge was opened in 1964. Why it was built, who took full responsibility. I've been hearing for years, you know, God forbid we take something down, it's the village's problem, not anybody else's. You know, I like to see these agreements, like it was asked earlier today. And let's come up with a game plan here. But if we're going to do it, let's do it right. Dundee Road to the west, and then dire need of lighting, dire need of streetscape, dire need of new streets around there. It's a mess. So I don't care what you're going to do with these panels or what you're going to do to paint, it's going to be an ongoing maintenance problem that's going to cost the village taxpayers thousands of dollars like it is now. So let's come up with a game plan here. Who's actually using it? It's, you know, we have to warrant crosswalks. We have to warrant signalization. Well, let's warrant the bridge. Does it warrant being there? How many kids are using it? How many people are using it? I don't see a lot using it. Because a lot of those kids to the north now are not even going to London School anymore, they're going to Cooper. So we're busing kids everywhere. Really, the walking pedestrian child isn't using bridges anymore, even walking to school in a lot of cases. So I could be wrong, but I live there and I see it, and it's not like it used to be. So let's come up with a plan, John.
Sure, what we'll do is we will stall on any maintenance work for the time being and do the research necessary and report back to the board.
Thank you. Official communication. Trustee Kruger, I'll start with you. Anything?
Nothing tonight, thanks.
Trustee Hein?
Nothing tonight, thank you.
Trustee Vogel?
Nothing, thank you.
Trustee Brady?
Nope, nothing.
Trustee Hare?
Nothing, I'm all talked out.
Trustee Lang?
No comments, thank you.
Clerk Simpson?
Nothing this evening.
Thank you. Manager Spondelis?
I'm not going to break the streak.
And I won't either.
Excellent.
How's that? Entertain a motion to adjourn. There is no executive session.
So moved.
Motion by Trustee Brady, second by Trustee Hare, was it? Okay. Roll call?
Trustee Here?
Yes.
Trustee Hein?
Yes.
Trustee Brady?
Yes.
Trustee Kruger?
Yes.
Trustee Vogel?
Yes.
Trustee Lang?
Yes.
President Harris?
Yes, thank you. Good night, everyone. See you next week.
Good. Yes.